Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantika Vande Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsya Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shuddhavadi Pashyate Shatarini Namo Mahapranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratrishye Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Janamate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radha Yavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmani Balabhadra Subhadrami Jagannatha Te Namaha Vanchara Kalpatarubhyasya Kripasindhubhya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vacharam Pangam Nangayate Giri Yadvipadam Vande Shri Guru Yenakari Text 11 today. Vidyam cha avidyam chayas Tadvedo bhayam saha Avidyayam mrityum tirtva Vidyayam amritam ashnute Only one who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. Okay. Since the creation of the material world, everyone has been trying to attain a permanent life. But the laws of nature are so cruel that no one has been able to avoid the hand of death. No one wants to die, nor does anyone wants to become old or diseased. The law of nature, however, does not allow anyone immunity from old age, disease, or death. Nor has the advancement of material knowledge solved these problems. Material science can discover the nuclear bomb to accelerate the process of death, but it cannot discover anything that can protect man from the cruel hands of old age, disease, and death. From the Puranas, we learn of the activities of Hiranyakashipu, a king who was very much advanced materially, wanting to conquer cruel death by his material acquisitions and the strength of his nescience. He underwent a type of meditation so severe that the inhabitants of all planetary systems became disturbed by his mystic powers. He forced the creator of the universe, the demigod Brahma, to come down to him. He then asked Brahma for the benediction of being Amar, by which one does not die. Brahma said that he could not award the benediction because even he, the material creator who rules all planets, is not Amar, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Brahma lives a long time, but that does not mean he is immortal. Hiranya means gold and Kashipu means software. This cunning gentleman, Hiranyakashipu, was interested in these two things, money and woman. And he wanted to enjoy them by being immortal. He asked from Brahma many benedictions in hopes of indirectly fulfilling his desire to become immortal. Since Brahma told him that he could not grant the gift of immortality, Hiranyakashipu requested that he not be killed by any man, animal, god, or any other living being within the 84 lakh species. He also asked that he does not die on land, in the air, in water, on water, or any other weapon. In this way, Hiranyakashipu foolishly thought these guarantees would save him from death. Ultimately, however, although Brahma granted him all these benedictions, he was killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Narasimha, the Lord's half lion, half man incarnation, and no weapon was used to kill him, for it was killed by the Lord's nails. Nor was he killed on the land, in the air, or on the water, for he was killed on the lap of the wonderful living being, Narasimha, who was beyond his conception. The whole point here is that even Hiranyakashipu, the most powerful of materialists, could not become deathless by his various plans. What then can be accomplished by the tiny Hiranyakashipus of today, whose plans are thwarted from moment to moment? Shri Ishopanishad instructs us not to make one-sided attempts to win the struggle for existence. Everyone is struggling hard for existence, but the laws of material nature are so hard and fast that they do not allow anyone to surpass them. In order to attain a permanent life, one must be prepared to go back to Godhead. The process by which one goes back to Godhead is a different branch of knowledge, and it has to be learned from the revealed Vedic scriptures such as the Ishopanishads, the Vedanta Sutra, the Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam. To become happy in this life and attain a permanent blissful life after leaving this body, one must study this sacred literature and obtain transcendental knowledge. The conditioned living being has forgotten his eternal relationship with God and has mistakenly accepted the temporary place of his birth as all in all. The Lord has kindly delivered the above mentioned scriptures in India and other scriptures in other countries to remind the forgetful human being that his home is not here in this material world. The living being is a spiritual entity, and he can be happy only by returning to his supreme home. From his kingdom, the personality of Godhead sends his bona fide servants to propagate this message by which one can return to Godhead. And sometimes the Lord comes himself to do this work. Since all living beings are his beloved sons, his parts and parcels, God is more sorry than we ourselves to see the sufferings we are constantly undergoing in this material condition. The miseries of this material world serve to indirectly remind us of our incompatibility with dead matter. Intelligent living entities generally take note of these reminders and engage themselves in the culture of Vidya or transcendental knowledge. Human life is the best opportunity for the culture of spiritual knowledge, and a human being who does not take advantage of this opportunity is called as a Naradhama, the lowest of human beings. The path of avidya, or advancement of material knowledge for sense gratification, is the path of repeated birth and death. As he exists spiritually, the living being, entity, has no birth or death. Birth and death apply to the outward covering of the spirit soul. The death is compared to the taking off, and birth to the putting on of outward garments. Foolish human beings who are grossly absorbed in the culture of avidya and science do not mind this cruel process. Enamored with the beauty of the illusory energy, they undergo the same miseries repeatedly and do not learn any lessons from the laws of nature. Only one who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. The problem with the living entity is that he comes in this material world in a combat mode. Every living entity feels that he is an incarnation of greatness and heroism, and somehow by some great constellation settings, he has landed here. Every living entity feels like this. It's like therefore every living entity feels that his case, his life is very unique. Like that. Therefore even we see in life that many times people embark on trajectories which are doomed to fail actually, and statistics have proven that. And still people feel like my case will be a little different case. So many times living entities embark on just like say for example intoxication. The medical reports say intoxication is very injurious to health, but then people think no, I can escape it, still do it, still enjoy, still save myself, still prove myself. So this is the kind of logic. People are blind in that way, is it not? Similarly, path of sense gratification. People feel many times, yes, I can do sense gratification also, but I will not harm myself. Still, I will be able to manage my finances and everything will go fine, So, this is the kind of very strange feeling which the living entity has. And through the strange feeling, actually, the living entity comes to this material world. And he thinks he's an incarnation. He thinks he's a great hero. So that's the irony of this world actually, that the living entity. Prabhupada is giving here the example of Hiranyakashipu. All this while, for so many, I believe 100 or 1,000 celestial years he was worshipping, Lord Brahma. So much tapasya he did to just get the darshan of Lord Brahma, to get a glimpse of Lord Brahma. And now here is Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma is coming, and Lord Brahma is admitting that nobody can be immortal. You see, even if Hiranyakashipu had been realistic, he could understand that 100 celestial years, or whatever is the figure, it's a huge figure actually that he did tapasya for. And he did tapasya for such a long period to just get darshan of Brahma. So what is the position of Brahma? And that Lord Brahma is telling that nobody can be immortal, and even I am not immortal. And Hiranyakashipu is thinking, no, somehow or the other I will squeeze out immortality from this Brahma. You see the joke. It's ridiculous, is it not? It's ridiculous, is it not? It's just like, you want to do research and publish a paper in Nature, like that, and you discuss with your PhD supervisor, that yes, this is the research topic I want to publish, and the PhD supervisor is selling this paper and this research even I cannot do, what to say of me, nobody in the department can do, like that, because this research is unheard of, like that, So, and the student is thinking, no, still, I will somehow or the other publish the paper, This is the case of Hiranyakashipu actually. Very ridiculous, Very ridiculous, isn't that, This is extremely ridiculous. But this is the sorry state of affairs of the living entity. How illogical the living entity becomes actually can be seen here. It doesn't matter whether one is more skilled or less skilled actually. It doesn't matter whether one is a big achiever or one is not an achiever. Hiranyakashipu was very diligent. Hiranyakashipu was very determined. Hiranyakashipu was very skilled. Hiranyakashipu was extraordinary, is it not? But even after all that, this basic sense is not there. Let's just see the reality. This basic sense is not there. And therefore, he made a very ridiculous empire, and he made a very ridiculous destiny for himself, is it not? By first of all, forcing himself to be so misdirected that even his teacher or guru or his object of supervisor, even to go beyond his framework of instructions. And then to actually drown himself into the ocean of illusion actually. So when Hiranyakashipu got these benedictions, he was thinking that he has become immortal. He can do anything, he can go anywhere, and nobody can stop him. So you see Hiranyakashipu, same thing Ravana, is it not?
No, अगर Hiranyakashipu गलत काम नहीं करता तो क्या वो immortal रह जाता? अगर वो गलत काम नहीं करता, वो चैलेंज नहीं करता प्रहलाद को, तो क्या वो हमेशा के लिए रह जाता?
No, he would have died, and then he would have got back his spiritual body. Okay, Hiranyakashipu is Jai Vijay, but even if you don't consider that history, if you see on the face value of it, here is a living entity, Hiranyakashipu. So if you would not have offended Prahlad Maharaj, you would have continued to die, is it not? If you would not have offended, then you would have learned from Prahlad Maharaj, Then you would have practiced bhakti. Then you would have got a spiritual destination, is it not? That's how life goes, is it not? You can be right or you can be wrong. If you are not wrong, you are right. Not that you are right, you will have to be on the right side. Then only you can be not wrong. Is it not? Right? That is the point actually. So we see Hiranyakashipu actually. And then because of that offense, he lost his life, is it not? To Prahlad Maharaj. The Krishna took it very seriously. And therefore he came in this beautiful incarnation of Lord Nrsimhadev actually. So, the point is that, so you see the point is that Hiranyakashipu lost. And Hiranyakashipu represents this characteristic disease of the living entity, in which he tries to think himself too smart. And he tries to think himself too intelligent. And he tries to think himself too great. And sometimes the living entity comes in devotional service. And then he thinks he's a great devotee. So therefore the first symptom one gets in devotional service is that he thinks he's a great devotee. Now he's very advanced, very stable, he's a big preacher, he has brought so many people in Krishna consciousness, he is an instrument in the hands of Lord Chaitanya Dev, and very close to the acharyas, and only seriousness for the mission comes in his heart, just like Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's only mission was dawned in the heart of Sri Prabhupada, like that Prabhupada's only mission is dawned in the heart of okay, the previous generation is fine, but now in the new generation they're coming up, it's only in his heart, like that. So this is a grand joke we play with us, we allow us to play on our own lives actually. Is it not? This is a grand joke. Is it not? And in this way one cheats himself. And the more we allow to cheat ourselves, the immediate product which will happen, or the immediate thing which will happen, is offenses. That's what is shown in the life of Sri Hiranyakashipu. As soon as he allowed himself to be cheated in this way, immediately he landed up in that offense, is it not? Prahlad Maharaj not following his instructions was a small thing, is it not? How many children follow the instructions of their parents? I don't think the statistics are too many, And then but what do they say? They laugh it out, saying that, okay, he's a naughty child, is it not? That's all, is it not? It's as simple as that. So now even a common, living entity who doesn't have, probably he's staying in a common living entity who has no future, no nothing, no power. This is just an ordinary, nobody can know about his existence ever in eternity. But even such a living entity has this much common sense, is it not? The children are children, is it not? And they're bound to be naughty. And one of the symptoms of naughtiness is to do what is not told to do. Is it not? This is a childish symptoms actually. To do what is not told to do. If he is told to sleep, he will be running around. If he is told to drink milk, he will not drink. If he is not fed anything, he will come running to ask something. So he does what he is not supposed to do. Or he is told not to do. That's naughtiness, is it not? So Hiranyakashipu could have very easily taken on that note and just carried on with a happy life. It was the so-called happy life which he was in, the life of sense gratification. But he was unnecessarily trying to poke in very hard. And the Lord explains that this is a very sensitive area actually, devotee dealings. And unnecessarily he was trying to poke in. So therefore, we learn a very important lesson actually in this episode. That first of all, we should not allow ourselves to be cheated and get puffed up. Unnecessarily thinking that we are very stable, we are very advanced, and so on and so forth actually. Better we assume very strongly that I don't know much. If things are agreeing to my concepts or not agreeing to my concepts doesn't matter, because I don't know where are my concepts, or I don't know what is the basis and standing of my concepts. Okay, they may be correct to some degree, because Krishna, how can we, Krishna's guidance is involved, the parampara is involved. So okay, there must be some degree of rightness. But then I did not say that how much area it covers, of the rightness territory. So this is a very strong assumption which a devotee has to, carry on, and then only the movement in devotional service takes place. The second aspect is that even if we don't understand another devotee's moves and we disagree with another devotee's moves and like that, the very important lesson, which we should take it very strongly, is that we should not unnecessarily poke in. Okay, we don't understand what type of devotional service the devotee is doing. We don't understand in what way and methodology the devotee is serving, like that. It doesn't compile in our systems. Our interpreter gets hanged. Fine. So we can be, 6 feet aside, and continue whatever is understandable and compilable to us, is it not? But unnecessarily we should not poke in, because that breeds offenses. Hiranyakashipu, you see the extent to which he was poking in, is it not? He could have allowed Prahlad Maharaj to continue. Or if he was unable to look at his face, then he could have sent Prahlad Maharaj, there's so many sages around him, He could have just given him a chariot escort, and sent him, Even if he would not have given a chariot escort, he could have just told him, that okay, thank you very much, Is it not? Prahlad Maharaj himself would have gone, is it not? It could have been as simple as that, is it not? So, so yes, we need to learn from the past time. As the past time is being displayed, we cannot say, okay, he is transcendental, it's the Leela of the Lord, he is a great devotee, and he's coming in that way. That is all fine. But what do they want to teach us? That is the lesson which we should catch, is it not? So we should not, so Hiranyakashipu's devastation should not be seen in the light that, okay, he was going closer to God only and then he will become Jai again, So that's fine, Okay, that may be fine from the, their point of view, But from our point of view, what they are depicting is important. And from our point of view, we will see Hiranyakashipu is devastated to dust and powder, is it not? And now he could have saved his devastation just because, if he would have not poked in, is it not? So many times, disagreement can be still okay. It's risky, but it can be still okay, But disagreement with poking in will lead to offenses very badly. So sometimes, we as devotees, we feel, no, I have to set the other Prabhu right, That if that is not done, then the mission will not continue, So this is the Baba's thinking actually, That why do we have to take this aspect of the reins of ISKCON, like that, So better we continue what is compilable to us, like that. And yes, on a positive note, if we can understand and appreciate what various Vaishnavas are doing and heartily respect and glorify, that is fine. That is on the positive axis. But if we cannot do that, at least we should not poke in, actually. So Hiranyakashipu's downfall, the main problem is poking in, is it not? Like that. And yes, he was not just poking in Prahlad Maharaj, that was the epitome, he was poking in so many devotees. Is it not? All the sages, was forcing them to chant his names. And the demigods, demigods are also devotees. And we should be respectful. One cannot be insulting to them, actually. The demigods are also devotees. So he was poking in so many people, and the culmination of that, the titration point was Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj, poking in on Prahlad Maharaj was the titration point, and then the Lord said, "Bas, enough. Yes. And the Lord said, enough. You have shown good amount of caliber. Like that. तुम्हारा खेल खत्म हुआ. Is it not? Is it not? So the Lord incarnation is like that. So this beautiful pastime is very instructive to us actually. So we should not unnecessarily try to poke in. So poking in, speaking, unnecessarily maneuvering in management and so on and so forth. All these will lead to very serious offenses actually. We should be in a helping mood. If we cannot help, we can wish well. If we cannot do that, just give them side. Don't come in the way of devotees in their service, is it not? That's how it should be actually. So now the question, the point which comes is that Hiranyakashipu why did he become blind in this way? Why did he become blind in this way? That is an important consideration, is it? And one of the aspects, or the aspect which is mentioned here in this verse is that because actually, if you see Hiranyakashipu's growth was one-sided growth. Sukadeva Maharaj here is pointing out actually. Vyasadeva. Shri Vyasadeva is pointing out here. Ishupanishad. That who can transcend? Who can become immortal? Who can go out of repeated birth and death? Who can be liberated? And Shri Vyasadeva is pointing out that one has to learn both simultaneously. The process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge. One cannot be one-sided in this work, because if one is one-sided, one will be lost. One has to be double-sided, and then one has solidity. Just like we can stand on two legs. A train runs on two tracks. Like that, is it not? A bird can fly on two wings, It's not that one wing is resting and only one wing is utilized. It doesn't work like that, is it not? Yes? So similarly, both-sided, a double-sided stability has to be there, is it not? That way. So only in that situation one can get liberated actually. Otherwise one will be caught. So Hiranyakashipu's problem was he never landed on the territory of transcendental knowledge.
In order to learn new science, sometimes it is very often that we may be caught up into this.
Yeah, so we'll discuss how to learn the science. Again, there is a way, it's a science. Again, there is a way. We'll discuss how to learn the science actually. So Hiranyakashipu's problem was what? He was only learning the science. He was too much obsessed by the science, is it not? Hiranyakashipu, very dashed gold, is it not? Dashed woman, he was only trying to understand, go deep into that area, the science and all like that. And therefore actually, so if transcendental knowledge is not there, then the dash into nescience is a mad dash actually, which leads one to devastation. And Bhagavatam explains this just like a moth. He is very attracted to fire and he thinks that he is very great, he is a superstar and in great style, he is entering the fire and he burns himself. But all this time he is thinking that he is a great star, he is a superstar. Like that. In the same way, Hiranyakashipu was thinking he is a great star, he is a superstar, he can catch anyone, he can do anything, and he is unrivaled and nobody can question him. And he was, no, it's a mad dash because he never dared to, he never cared to, attend the morning program, Yeah. He was not following 433.5 standard, He was not chanting 16 rounds, He was not hearing Bhagavatam class. Narad Muni was giving Bhagavatam class, Prahlad Maharaj heard in the womb, So Hiranyakashipu was doing some bogus, tapasya, Probably he should have, logged in, when Prahlad Maharaj was hearing class, at least he would have, even if he would have logged in through WhatsApp and all that, was what's happening with his wife and child, he would have also heard some Bhagavatam class, is it not, And Narad Muni was giving continuous classes, But he was not hearing, So because he did not do that, he didn't read Bhagavatam, Otherwise he could have understood. His resume is not very good according to Bhagavatam, Like that, people are going to learn a lesson of what not to do, is it not, Like that, from him. So that was his problem. So he never focused on transcendental knowledge. He did not do Vaishnava Seva, He could have served Prahlad Maharaj with such a, but the Vaishnava was this next to him, is it not, Mahabhagavad Vaishnava, Prahlad Maharaj was next to him, is it not? He never did Vaishnava Seva. So, because he was not understanding transcendental knowledge, he was not learning the science actually. Like that. So this verse has to be understood properly actually. What is culture of Vidya and what is culture of Avidya? How we can touch Avidya and how to cultivate Vidya, that's a great science. And one cannot do mental speculation on that. There is another bogus section of people, they say, okay, yes, the culture of the science and the culture of the transcendental knowledge, yes. So the culture of the science means you should dash into it, You should do sufficient sense gratification. Sufficient sense gratification, so much so that you get ejected out of it. And their bogus philosophy, Sambhog se Samadhi. Sambhog se Samadhi. If you have fire, you put so much oil, so much ghee, the fire is extinguished. It's the philosophy. Yeah. Like if you light a ghee lamp and you put 10 kg ghee, what will happen? Don't try it out, waste a lot of ghee, Again, is it not? So that is their philosophy, that you put so much ghee that it extinguishes. So okay, you have lust in your heart, you enjoy it. So much that it will get extinguished. Sambhog se Samadhi. Completely bogus, Completely bogus actually. Why it is completely bogus? Because avidya cannot be studied in its own standing. How can you study shadow in its own standing? To study shadow, you have to manipulate the real object. Is it not? If you want to do an experiment on shadow, how can you do an experiment on shadow? If I want to move the shadow, how can I move the shadow? You cannot move the shadow, is it not? It's a shadow. I can only touch the object actually. If I move the object, the shadow moves, is it not? Yes? So similarly, somebody says, let's dash into avidya, like that. The same kind of lesson actually people have been talking about actually. Our Daksha speaks the same philosophy. That my sweet little children, they are not experienced. They need to experience sense gratification, and then they can, take to, spirituality, So the word experience has to be understood properly. What are you going to experience? How do you experience a shadow? You cannot experience a shadow in its own setting, is it not? You have to experience the shadow in context of the object, is it not? Otherwise, what is the experience of the shadow? Like that. So similarly, avidya cannot be experienced, is it not? In its own standing. And therefore, there is nowhere in Shastras where it allows indiscriminate sense gratification. Like that. There is no place which says that yes, now you can dash into material energy. Nowhere the Lord is telling dash into material energy. It's so risky. It's not going to lead one to liberation at all. It's just like, say for example, in studies or in the examination. And suppose the living entity thinks that, in studies or examination, he is thinking that actually, if one applies the same understanding, vidyamcha, so one says, okay, by doing wrong, I can understand how to do right. But now be careful, this is a bogus principle actually. How can by doing wrong you can understand how to do right, is it not? Either you do right in the first attempt, then you understand how to do right and you will get marks, or you try to do right, and in an attempt to do right, you may do some wrong, and then you will understand how wrong it is from the barometer of what was supposed to be right, and then you rectify your measures, and in that way slowly move towards the right, is it not? Right? Research also, practice also, is it not? Right? Practice questions, practice, and any subject we study like that, is it not? So the pointer is always to do right, but you may happen to do a little wrong, and you learn from that and move towards right again, is it not? So that wrong which one embarks upon in an attempt to do right is called as experience. But if there is no right and one is doing, there is infinite wrong, is it not? If this is right, then this can be experienced, is it not? But this is bogus. This is nitya baddha, and that is what has been described by Prabhupada Naradama mentality, is it not? So this is the point actually, that the culture of nescience has to be studied like that. So therefore, the Shastras talk about both. On one hand, we cultivate intense, direct spiritual knowledge through Shastras, and then secondly, actually, we say, okay, avidya. One has to learn avidya, the process of nescience. How do we learn as a devotee the process of nescience? So we learn the process of nescience because we are standing on the platform of nescience, and now on this platform of nescience, if we try to serve Krishna using material energy, then we will learn the culture of nescience. That is the point actually.
We are already in nescience.
Yes.
And there is no need of learning.
No, learning is required, and how much nescience we are in, that is the realization, is it not? Like that. So that is the learning. If you know you are wrong, you can rectify yourself. So the material energy, when we try to utilize material energy in Krishna's service to the best of our capacity, in the process of doing that, we learn the culture of nescience. We don't have to, So, and what is experience? Experiencing material energy. Experiencing material energy means we are trying to practice Krishna consciousness fully to the best of our abilities. In doing that, we may commit some mistakes because we are conditioned, but by Krishna's grace, we'll get further guidance. That is called as experience, is it not? And therefore, experience is substituted by hearing, is it not? You see why it works? Because ultimately everything is pointed towards God, is it not? So either one tries to attempt God, to go to God, and in the attempt of doing to God, one can do some wrongs and learn from it and understand what is the territory there and move. or one can hear and take a direct step. Both are okay. Is it not? So this is the point actually. So now if one is not balanced in this way, he is not stable. Therefore, if somebody does only transcendental knowledge, and he doesn't do the culture of nescience, he is not stable also. What is such a person called as?
Yes.
PDS. It's a pure devotee syndrome. He's PDS, is it not? Like that. Because he's only doing transcendental knowledge, is it not? He thinks he can only chant. And chant, and he can chant 64 rounds. And there are, and we've seen so many devotees, and they think that they can just chant 108 and they can go to Radhakund, And there's the next step, like that, And they can get some Siddha Swarupa, Siddha Pranali, something like that, Again. Yeah. And they can realize that they're a peacock, in the spiritual world, or whatever, So you see the joke actually, only transcendental knowledge. And somebody thinks he can chant 108 rounds, 64 rounds, he just wants to chant. He has such a taste for chanting. Such a taste for chanting, like that, So we had to understand that actually,
सेवा करने से हम लोग को इंटोलेरेंस क्या पता चलता है?
Wait. That is the point, is it not? And therefore, actually, unless, so one needs to be honest and open to himself, is it not? And sometimes somebody thinks that, I have a great taste for Bhagavatam, so much taste, that I only want to sit with Bhagavatam, Is it not? So just like in PhD, you just don't sit with your professor, You can discuss with him and then go to the lab and try it out and give back report to him and again take the next step, is it not? If somebody says, I'm so attached here, just sit with you, And that's what Prabhupada was saying, that don't be a mosquito on my leg, So you see, the culture of nescience when we try to use mental energy to serve Krishna, is it not? So when you go and help out people, preach to people, you can understand how people are in various miserable predicaments, is it not? And when you are pursued to help people, you are seeing that people are running away here and there, you can understand that how complicated mindset can be, how, and that is called as culture of nescience. You're learning the culture of nescience. We don't have to do it. Again, ourselves. Yes.
Sometimes experience is not required. One can directly hear and realize the things. So in that case, I am not saying for everybody, but there can be some person who is empowered in that way, who can read Bhagavatam throughout the day and he can simply teach it. Just learning Bhagavatam and just teaching Bhagavatam. He may not be required to undergo that. So because there are some devotees who are doing seva.
So now here, as he is pointing out, we have to be very careful. Sometimes we misapply. Many times we misapply. So one may think that, I can just hear and just follow, like that. So many times we may feel like that. And just, like sometimes some students, they come in second year and they feel now only me and Krishna, I will just sing Vaishnava songs and I will read Bhagavatam and what is this Mayar Vaibhav Jive ke banaye Gadha, like that, Jada Vidya, Mayar Vaibhav. Bhakti Thakur is saying, So many people quote these verses, these type of statements, like that. Now what happens is that everything is well and fine, but the person is not understanding that he is not at that level.
No, he is not at that level, but there's some other person who is doing that, so we should not judge them. No? So we can see a person who is whole day reading Bhagavatam and he's simply teaching Bhagavatam. His life is all about Bhagavatam. So we should not judge them, I am saying.
Yeah, we should not judge others.
I am not.
We can judge, we can understand what's happening with that. But yes, we should not judge other Vaishnavas, especially Vaishnavas
who are doing it.
Yeah,
their whole life is about Bhagavatam.
Yeah, they're doing it and they have crossed through the whole process, is it not? Yes, they have gone through the whole process, is it not? Like Radheshyam Prabhu will be reading Bhagavatam and speaking Bhagavatam, but then he has married his Sri. He was studying like anything also, is it not? Therefore he has the same attitude, So he has gone through the process, he has paid the price, He also did not jump in the air, is it not? So the same thing actually. So we should not misapply actually. Therefore, when it comes to ourselves, we need to be holistic to understand what is it that I can just apply and what is it that I have to experience. You got the point, right? That is the point. So, and this requires guidance. This requires, very sincere with the matrix of the benchmark pointer, is it not? And if you misapply, we'll end up in a problem, is it not? Like, okay, chanting 64 rounds is a principle, but can we do it? That's the question, And honestly, we can understand, I cannot do it, so better do service, Is it not? So slowly the taste will come, and suppose, and Bhakti Charan Maharaj says so nicely, he says, okay, now you work hard for Krishna, your body has strength and all that, and then as you grow up, your body strength will be gone, like that. But by that time, because you have served so much, then the taste will, germinate. And then your body will not be, able to do so much. But then, that taste has got germinated, and then you can just chant Hare Krishna, and in great style like that, you can go back home, back to Corridor, like that, because you have got the culture of the science, and you have understood the transcendental knowledge, and you can become immortal, that which even Hiranyakashipu could not do. Is it not? That's what Shri Upanishad is talking about. Srila Prabhupada ki, like Granthra Shri Upanishad ki.
While using the science, one should but target that one day I have to get out of it.
Yeah.
It's not that one is means thinking that I will keep doing this only.